I've never felt this much behind as a programmer. The profession is being dramatically refactored as the bits contributed by the programmers are increasingly sparse and between. I have a sense that I could be 10 times more powerful if I just properly string together what has become available over the last year, and a failure to claim the boost feels decidedly like skill issues. There's a new programmable layer of abstraction to master, in addition to the usual layers below, involving agents, subagents, their prompts, contexts, memories, modes, permissions, tools, plugins, skills, hooks, MCP, LSP, /commands, workflows, etc. Okay, I'll cut in here. This is a post from Carpathy that I've been thinking a lot about since seeing it, because in some ways I feel very similar, and other ways I don't, and I have a lot that I want to say about it. The ending in particular is fascinating to me. Clearly, some powerful alien tool was handed around, except it comes with no manual, and everyone has to figure out how to hold it and operate it, while the resulting magnitude 9 earthquake is rocking the profession. Roll up your sleeves to not fall behind. Yeah. There's a lot going on here, and I felt it now more than ever. I still remember when I did the GPT-5 video, I felt the first rumblings of this, where it no longer felt like, oh, these things can help with autocomplete and stubbing out API files for me. Now it feels like AI can build real applications and help maintain and do a lot of this type of work that we have been doing ourselves for decades upon decades. I still can't believe the rate at which this change is happening, but it is very, very real. All of the smartest devs I know are building crazy things with AI now, either using the AI as part of the product or for the majority of the dev work. And it's easy to feel like you're falling behind. I'd go as far as to say most of us feel this way right now. But there are ways that we can get ahead. There are things that we can all do as developers to be more powerful as a result, rather than less. I think it's finally at the point where it is our responsibility as developers, especially if we want to stay employed, that we need to be on top of these things. So in this video, I'm going to do my best to explain what I have done to stay on top of the latest stuff going on in the AI dev world, and I hope it's useful to you. Do you know what else I hope is useful for you? Today's sponsor.
Do you know what's slower than GitHub's loading times? You know, when you're trying to open a PR and it takes 10 seconds to run? They're actions. I'm still just floored at how slow GitHub actions are. It's unbelievable. And that's why Depot is killing it, and that's why GitHub is scared of them. They make your actions comically faster. And your Docker builds as well. In just the last week, they have saved developers over 143,000 hours. Companies like PostHog saw 37x improvement on their build times from 150 minutes to 4 minutes. And even open source projects like gRPC saw a 12x improvement in their builds with Depot. They don't keep the details secret, by the way. They're able to do this so much faster by using way better CPUs, much better networking, and putting your cache on an NVMe drive attached to the box that's actually doing the work. All of this results in crazy differences, like 10 times faster throughput. And by the way, that's all at half the cost of GitHub's runners. It's insane how cheap Depot is. Trying them out is a one-line change and you'll be so happy you did it. Check them out for free, no credit card required at soydev.link/depot. And here we have my best attempt at a guide to not falling behind. Historically, I have always said the same thing about most tools. It's better to be late than early. I still believe this. I want to be very clear. I still very much believe this. I've seen so many people go all in on things that turned out to be useless, like building Java applets for the Kyocera Echo before the iPhone came out, or MCP. There's lots of things like this that happen every couple years where something seems like the obvious, oh my God, that's the future, and then it doesn't happen. You need to wait until the thing is actually providing value to people every day before it's worth betting on. The harsh reality is that we are there now with AI. I am writing the majority of my code with AI now. I would say more than the majority, like 90%. And for the teams that I run, we're at least 70% AI-generated code, sometimes even more. The companies that I'm advising, that I work with, that I invest in, that I talk to every day, are at similar numbers. The AI isn't great at making decisions. It's good at talking through them still. That could change in the future, so you should keep an eye on it accordingly. But the thing I really want to drive home here is that it is useful. This is no longer, will AI pan out? Will it become something we use? Coding has changed forever. We are past that point now. Getting into it now isn't getting into it early anymore. Getting into it now is getting into it late. So if you were waiting to see if this stuff would be useful, we are now past that point. It is useful. It's time. And if you think that the stuff you're working on is too complex for AI,
Tell it to the people building compilers with it. Tell it to the people who are building languages and systems and crazy applications with it. Tell it to the CEO of Railway who's rebuilding their deployment system with it. Tell it to Carpathy, who's one of the smartest developers that ever lived, that feels like he's falling behind. It's here. No more denying it. And this is going to affect the job market in meaningful ways. We don't know in what directions or in what amounts, but we know it will affect things. So we've established that you're officially late. You can cope all you want, and I'm sure my comment section is going to be full of it. I don't care. We're here. So how do you catch up? There's a lot of ways to do this. Personally, my favorite way is to just go try what the hottest tool is and push it to its limits. Step one is to try and find those limits. Go check out Claude Code or Cursor or OpenCode or any of these tools. Use the latest and greatest model, which at the point of filming this video is Opus 4.5 or GPT 5.2 X high if you have the patience. Give them a shot. Push them to their limits. Take some random feature that you've been waiting for a while to implement in one of your products or projects and ask the agent to do it. Open up Cursor, select Opus, and say, hey, I want this. Plan it. And then see if it writes a good plan. And read the output. I'm not here to tell you that code doesn't matter anymore. I'm here to tell you how to use these tools to write code more efficiently. And part of that is reading the output. I know you might call me a contrarian if you watched my previous videos about how I've been using Claude Code recently, but that's a step we'll get to in a bit. This is how we get in. Try to find the limits and read the output as you look for those limits. I also recommend using plan mode in the tools that offer it. OpenCode's plan mode isn't great yet. Chances are by the time you're watching this video, it's probably been fixed. They're moving very fast. Cursor and Claude Code both have great plan modes. Plan mode is great because it's plain English back and forth. It feels like sitting in a room with a coworker and a whiteboard, planning out how you're going to do this thing. And you can also watch the agent as it goes through the code base to learn about it and figure things out. And you learn how it does that, because that's the ultimate goal here. Should put that at the top, actually. If we have more goals as we go through, I will add them here, but these are the two key ones. Building an intuition for what these tools can and can't do, and increasing the amount of code that you can output without decreasing your confidence in the quality. So step one, you have to try and find these limits. And as you're finding the limits, you should also be watching how they do things. I had a list of increasingly complex tasks that I wanted to eventually do in the T3 chat code base that I would use as my testing ground. I would keep ramping up how hard they would be. One fun example I would give when I would demo the new models and how good they were at UI is I would ask them to build a mock image generation studio to showcase their way of thinking about building UI that way. I no longer ask them to build mocks. I just filmed a video about why I like Convex so much, and I had Claude Code use Convex and FAL to build a real image gen studio. That at one shot. This is a fully working image generation studio with backend and sync and file storage that will generate whatever you want. Here, I'll generate an image of a vibe coding corgi using 3 laptops at once. And in just a moment, once we get a response from Nano Banana Pro, we now have a vibe coding corgi using a whole bunch of laptops with a save button that works, a UI that's good. All these things that were really annoying before, it can just do. It's kind of wild. And you need to have these systems in your head, like knowing your own code bases, knowing what types of work you do, and just keeping a mental tab of it. If you have some task that took you a week to do that is relatively well documented, make a clone of your repo from before you did it, put it in a folder somewhere, write down the description of the task, put it in a markdown file in that folder, and then run Claude Code on it. See if it can take that as an input and build the thing. If it gets close but not quite, rewrite the prompt a little bit. See if you can guide it there. And if it still can't, save that, put it in a zip and lock it away somewhere. And the moment the tools get better, pull it back out from cold storage and try again. Building your own pseudo benchmarks of what capabilities do these tools have so that you know what they're capable of and how far they can go, and also what they get caught up on is super, super valuable. So that's the first step. Take the actual day-to-day work you're doing, break it up, box it up, and throw agents at it to see if it can make work that meets your quality bar. This is really good for work you've already done because you know how you would do it, and you can compare and contrast how you did it and how the AI would have done it. Now I have a slightly harder step two, thinking outside of the box. This one took me a bit to get over, and I'm also predisposed to do this already for various reasons, primarily content, but also just the way I work. I can't tell you how often I have a problem that code could solve, but it doesn't make sense to write code to solve it. I have a bunch of old assets that I backed up from my Android phone when I was in college, like just videos and photos that I took when I was in school. They are very poorly organized in just a random set of folders on my computer, and I wanted to have those saved and upscaled using a tool like Topaz. I could have manually tried to do all of that, and I did. And I got through about 6 months of my 8 years of archival before realizing I can't do this. And I stopped. When I realized how good Claude Code had gotten, I wanted to test its limits on Windows, where I have a lot of this stuff stored. So I spun up Claude Code on Windows and told it to do it. It then wrote a bunch of very long scripts, including a single 3,000 line of code JS file that it used to reorganize and re-encode all of the files I had stored on the system. And it did a phenomenal job. That's the type of thing I could have written myself, but I never would have because it would have taken too much time for the immediate benefit it gives me. And I've realized there are tons of these. For every project I'm working on right now, I have 3 or 4 sub-projects that are just me doing random shit I want for that project. Part of why I do all the image studio stuff is because I want to overhaul how image gen works in T3 chat. So I keep spinning up sandboxes to play around with different ideas I have outside of the T3 chat codebase so I can find the UX I like. And some other things I'm working on, like my fish slop game, that is just a very unique Insane Aquarium clone. It's not that unique. There's a lot of little things I have to do with this game to make it work, like asset management in particular. I vibe coded 3 separate tools to work on the assets for this game, just to make it easier to track them, organize them, generate them, screw with them, test different treatments on them, stuff like that. Building a full suite of asset management tools for a random game you'll probably never release would be mental illness. Now it's a great experiment. Now it's a way for me to try out new tools, learn, build things that would never have made sense before. Building a 10,000 line of code project to manage assets for a 15,000 line of code project is the type of thing that made no sense before. But this is why you have to rewire your brain a bit. You have to think out of the box. You have to think about things that could be solved with code that would have made no sense to solve with code before because it's too much code, which is too much effort. The amount of effort it takes to write code has gone down a ton. And once you understand the limits and capabilities of these systems, you start to see the world a little bit different. I'm going to do a really weird comparison. When you look at this image, what do you see? 99.5% of you are going to say a stair set. Some of you are going to say the El Toro 20. This stair set is very important in skateboarding. It has a legacy that's hard to put into words. There's a reason for this. It's because it is gigantic and jumping down it is kind of insane to do. And many skaters have done that. Many have gotten very hurt trying to do that. Skateboarders see the world a little bit different. Once you've rode a skateboard for a certain amount of time, you no longer look at the street the same way because you're thinking about how it feels to ride your board on the pavement. You no longer look at stairs the same way. You're counting them to see how many there are and how hard it would be to jump down it. You don't look at ledges or rails or benches or picnic tables even the same way. It's rare that I walk into a new room or walk down a new street and don't think about how I could skateboard on it. Once you learn the skateboard, you see the world a little bit different. Everything is now kind of an obstacle. And when you learn to code, the same thing happens. When you go to a website or open an app or see the weird errors on the screen at the airport, you're not seeing the same thing everyone else does. You're thinking it through a little further because you know more about how it works. The way you perceive these things is different. When you get an error in an app, you're thinking about what led to that. When someone else gets an error in an app, they get annoyed. You have to do that again now. I'm sorry, because one of the hardest things you can do to your brain is rewire it so the world looks a little different. But you have to now. And to other creators, other developers, other people who are watching this video, it sucks and it's hard. And it took me a while. It took me like over a year and a half of using these things every day to have this click. You can just build shit. If you have a random idea, it doesn't take 3 days to build it anymore. It takes a couple minutes. When I wanted to compare how different AI models write prose, I had this novel idea. What if I could have a model write an essay, another model give feedback on it, and then the original one could rewrite the essay? I wanted to automate this because I was just curious. It took me about 10 minutes of vibe coding in Cursor to build up a workspace that could do that. Now I can answer these questions. I can figure these things out. I can do shit that just never would have been worth doing before. And that's what's so crazy. There's this whole world of things that we encounter every day as developers that we didn't bother dealing with before because it was easier to just do it by hand than it was to automate the thing. There are so many of these little things that were just obnoxious that are now trivial. If I want to play with a new API, I throw the docs at Claude and say, what can I do? If I want to build a new Chrome extension, I open up Cursor and say, hey, make this with me. It's so freeing to realize any problem that can be solved with software just got 100 times more solvable. And that isn't just yet another new vibe-coded app or project. That could be something as annoying as I have this set of commands I enter over and over. It'd be nice if it was one command. Here, I'll give an example. I'll even voice the text just to make the point. Make me an alias that selects all files and commits them with a commit message and pushes up immediately. Now it's going to make me a git alias in my zshrc, almost certainly. Didn't do it, but apparently I can just configure this with a git global directly. Git ACP. Let's tell it to do something a bit different. I would like it to be just one word. Can you maybe put this in my zshrc instead? There we go. Now I have this new command added. This type of thing that just wasn't necessarily worth the time for most people is now trivial. You can see I even did this earlier where I wanted to always YTDL things as an MP4. So here it will just auto post process. I can use this custom command for YouTube DLP and it will come out as an MP4. I have so many of these appearing in my zshrc because whenever I have a thing I do a lot, there we go. Once you start thinking this way, you're most of the way here. But the next step is where things get really fun. Okay, to be fair, step 2 is actually really fun, but the next piece is the orchestration. And I'll be very honest here. I'm still learning this part. This is the part that things really start to accelerate. And I'm at the point where I kind of want to rethink my whole operating system around what capabilities exist here. Figuring out how to spin up different agents, how to link pieces together, how to write glue code that you're not even really writing yourself that lets you attach these cool tools and pieces and figuring out all the parts. Things like when I was working on my game, I found a tool for generating pixel art that was okay, not great, but okay, and orchestrating between that and the game and all the different features that I want to work on and getting this all pulled together was challenging. One of the pieces I came up with, and it's really silly, the game is the fish game. So in order to keep track of all of the different fish in the game, I made the Fish Bible. The Fish Bible is a markdown file that describes all of the different fish and pets in the game. And whenever a change happens in the game, this file should be updated. Whenever a change happens in this file, the game should be updated. I enforce that via the Claude MD, where I specify the Fish Bible file is the authoritative reference for all creatures, fish, pets, aliens in the game. It contains all of these details, and it needs to be kept in sync. This is in my Claude MD. Whenever I'm using Claude code, it will do its best to honor this. This also means I'm not looking at the code as much, but that's the point of this project. Having a range of how much you do and don't care about code in a project is essential. And part of this thinking outside of the box piece is that there are a lot of things you might want to do in your project that aren't worth the time to write or even read the code. But if these are just things like setup scripts or automations for things that you were doing by hand before, if that code isn't actually running on production servers, you're just using it to benefit yourself and your life, your bar for the quality will be different, and it should be. Figuring out where in your life you can insert a bunch of slop code will give you a great opportunity to play with these things more. And I promise you, everybody watching this video has places in their life where a little bit of slop could actually be useful. I've been amazed at how many places we're finding for this in my own work. Even just like building a tool to keep track of all of my thumbnails and which types of thumbnails tend to get the most views. Visualizing that type of thing was annoying. Now I can build it in a day or less. But again, the orchestration is the hard part. How do you keep track of and organize and combine these things to build awesome shit? There's a lot of tools being built to do this and a lot of independent people building their own things around this. ClaudeBot is a great example of this. Peter's been doing all sorts of crazy shit, and ClaudeBot is one of his attempts to pull it all together to make all of his tools accessible to an AI agent that he can talk to via Telegram or WhatsApp that's controlling a computer. It's so cool. Somebody said in chat that I'm finding places for slop because I'm forcing it. You have to force it initially, and then it clicks. That's the key. You realize how much random shit is tedious in your life that you could automate that was just not worth automating before, and now suddenly absolutely is. There are so many things like that. I am still amazed at just how many there are and how many more I'm finding. I'm keeping a list of all of the ideas I have. Like one that I really want to start working on is a Kanban board for managing tasks that I want to generate code for between the planning stage, the implementation stage, and the review stage. And there are so many opportunities like this, and at real companies too. A big part of what inspired this video is this post from Raul, who is the head of applied AI at Ramp. Ramp's a real company doing real challenging work, and they're doing some super cool stuff with AI, especially with the orchestration of tools like OpenCode. This is him quote tweeting the original Carpathy post that started the video. He makes some bold statements at the top here. You're guaranteed to lose if you fall behind. The no unforced error AI leader playbook is the following. So these are great ideas on how to start getting ahead. For your team, use coding agents. Give all engineers their pick of harnesses, models, and background agents. Claude Code, Cursor, Devin with closed and open models. Meta engineers used to be forced to use Llama 4, which is hilarious. They no longer are. They can use whatever they want now. Opus 4.5 is the baseline now. That's probably going to change very soon. This video hopefully won't get too dated beyond that. We will see. I will be sure to make new videos if that does happen. By the way, if you watch this much, you should hit the sub button if you want to keep up. It's a pretty good way to help and helps the channel out a ton too. Next piece. Give your agents tools to all dev tooling. Things like Linear, GitHub, Datadog, Sentry, any internal tooling. If agents are being held back because of the lack of context, that's your fault. Very bold. Still coming around to this one myself, but I've seen so many compelling examples that it's hard to ignore. Here's an example of an engineer at Ramp who was demoing one of the cool bots they built, their internal inspect bot. They added it. What are the 20 most common Sentry issues in core? Spin up child sessions fixing them. So it found the 20 most common errors and then spun up a PR for every single one of them. That's insane. And this isn't some tool they're selling. This isn't some crazy product they want to put out and say, hey, everyone, go install inspect. This is just their own internal explorations and usage. Because doing this is now way more justifiable than ever because it's not that expensive time-wise. Another big piece. Invest in code-based specific agent docs. Stop saying that it doesn't do X well. If that's an issue, try better prompting, an agentsmd file, linting, and code rules. These are actually really big pieces. Agents get a lot smarter when they get feedback on what's wrong. Set up your LSP and use it, please, for the love of God, use a typed language if you're not yet, because then when the code has errors that are checkable via types, you can feed those errors back to the agent and it can fix them. OpenCode does this by default. Claude Code added it. It's not fully supported just yet. Cursor has this working really well by default. When you have good linting and code rules and type safety, all of a sudden, these agents can fix a lot of the errors that they would have on that first pass, and they will come to you with a result that is more likely to be working initially. And then the agentmd in particular is a really important piece too. I know the Claude Code team apparently changes their ClaudeMD file for the internal repo multiple times a day. If someone on the team notices that Claude went down the wrong path for something, they don't hope it won't the next time. They go to the ClaudeMD file and add instructions saying, hey, don't do that. Good way of thinking of this is that every manual edit that you make from generated code is an opportunity for agentmd improvements. Next piece, invest in robust background agent infra. Get a full development stack working on VMs and sandboxes. It's hard to set up, but it'll be worth it. Your engineers can now run multiple in parallel. Code review will be the bottleneck soon. That's another thing I would actually add. Maybe as like a step 0, if you're really struggling to like get into this, at the absolute least, please add some AI code review tools to your repos. There's a bunch of them. There's controversy around some of them. I personally mostly use greptile and CodeRabbit. I use greptile on all my personal work and side projects. The team still slightly prefers CodeRabbit for T3 chat, but they're both really good. There's lots of other options that are pretty good as well. These things are very helpful to get into. And it's a great way to see the value of AI really quickly. Yeah, code review will be the bottleneck, but please use AI code review too, not as the only code review, just to augment it. It's so nice to have an AI catch a mistake before a human has to bother reviewing it. Also, important call out, figure out the security issues. Stop being risk averse and do what is needed to unblock the access. Absolutely agree here. And even with earlier career engineers, I would say the same thing. Like I would have so much worry like, oh, if we give these people access to the deployments, they can break all of prod. Good, fix it. Get over it. Make it easier to roll back the mistakes and get ahead of those things. And now, when you're actually building product with AI, important pieces. Always use the latest generation models in your features. Move things off of last gen models ASAP unless robust evals indicate otherwise. It's very rare, unless you're like on Gemini or something, that the generation change is actually a downgrade. You'll have to make changes every couple of weeks. Like the GitHub Copilot mobile app is still offering code review with GPT 4.1 and Sonnet 3.5. That's hilarious. You're leaving money on the table by being on Sonnet 4 or GPT 4o. Absolutely. Stay on top of these things. Use embedding semantic search instead of fuzzy search. Any general embedding model will do better than traditional fuzzy search heuristics. Yes. Like search is one of those big pieces. A lot of these harnesses now, things like Cursor and Claude Code, aren't using traditional search anymore. They tell the model they are, so the model doesn't have to learn anything new. And then they quietly behind the scenes use better search semantics to get better results. Leave no form unfilled. Use structured outputs in whatever context you have on the user to do a better, best effort prefill. That's a cool idea. I should consider that more for things. Allow unstructured inputs on all product surfaces. You must accept freeform text and documents. Forms are dead. Also very interesting. Another one that I totally agree on is that custom fine-tuning is dead. Stop wasting time on it. The frontier is moving too fast to invest 8 weeks into a fine-tune. Costs are dropping too quickly for price to matter. Better prompting will take you very far and is only getting more true as instruction following improves. Really want to emphasize this point. To go back to my list here, when you find a limit, when you write a prompt for the model and it can't do the thing, try to get past it. Strategies for this are improving your prompt, giving more context in particular in the prompt, adjusting Claude MD / agents MD just to give better instructions on the code base and how you want things to work, adding tools to give better feedback to model. This is things like LSP support, linting, etc. See if you can make the model go past the limit when you find it. I have been incredibly surprised by how much you can do by just giving some slightly better tools and adjusting your Claude MD file. The exact same prompt on the exact same code base can have better results. There are some people who swear by the strategy of never reverting and just prompting until it works. I know Pete, for example, the guy who made ClaudeBot, swears by this strategy. Yes, he says here, he basically never reverts or uses checkpointing. If something isn't how he likes it, he asks the model to change it. I am not there yet, personally. I still like to revert, mostly so I can learn the structure to get these things right first try. But this varies from person to person. Work on it, play with it, experiment. You really should try pushing the limits of not just these tools, but yourself. It's going to feel weird and uncomfortable. If you're not seeing the value, you're not there yet. Keep pushing until you do. So many incredibly talented devs are doing absurd shit with these tools. You can get there, but play with it more. Speaking of really smart people, Naman is in chat. Naman is the creator of StyleX, which is one of the coolest styling libraries I've ever seen that was used to handle styling at Meta at scale. Library is super cool. Naman is super smart. Naman just said in chat that the revert thing is kind of model specific. Codex is much better at unfucking a bad change it makes, and Opus is less good at that and benefits from the reverts. This is knowledge you get from experimenting with these things and playing with them more. You gotta just do it. Get in the weeds, get your hands dirty, get uncomfortable. If you're not at least a little bit uncomfortable, you're not trying hard enough. It's a harsh reality, but it's one that we're in now. You need to push past these limits in your head and in your work. More fun stuff from Raul in this post because there's more stuff here I want to talk about. Building evals is essential. You should build lots of evals to make quick model upgrade decisions. They don't need to be perfect, but at least need to allow you to compare models relative to each other. Most decisions become clear on a Pareto cost versus benchmark perf plot. Yep. It is so easy to vibe code a benchmark. It's one of the best things to start with. If you notice something that AI is or isn't doing well for you in your work, break that off into a bench. Make a quick, weird, one-off benchmark. It's so fun customizing and building your own evals. I've had a ton of fun with it. I was going to put out tools to make it easier for others to do, but I don't feel like I need to anymore. Just vibe code it. Tell it to use the ASDK and OpenRouter and go ham. The last piece here, and this is essential for leaders at companies. I'm trying to do this the same myself. Encourage all engineers to build with AI. Build primitives to call models from all code bases. Structured output, semantic similarity endpoints, sandbox code execution, etc. So much good shit. One last piece. This is what I'm really internalizing. Stop worrying so much about inference spend. Your inference profit and loss needs to be significantly higher. Costs are dropping too quickly for this to matter. It's not X mil a year. It's X divided by 52 per week for the next Y weeks. Yep. If your inference bill is $3,000 a week this week, it is as likely to go down as up week over week as new things ship and change and behave differently. Things are changing really, really, really fast. And you should be going out of your way to try all these new things. Now, I know a lot of this was focused on leaders, and not everybody watching, in fact, the majority of people watching, probably aren't managers. You're probably ICs, aspiring devs, or people just working independently on code. You might not be able to do all of these things if you don't have that type of buy-in at your workplace. Find every opportunity you can to do it independently. Try sneaking it into your workplace if you can. And if that doesn't go well, find a better job. I know that Ramp is hiring, for example. Raul actually asked me to shout that out. So shout out Raul for writing this. You guys should check him out and talk to him if you're interested. The link will be in the description for this post. Find a place where you can do this. You can make the place yourself independently on side projects. You can find a way to sneak it into your workplace if they allow for that type of thing. Generally, like now more than ever, ask forgiveness, not permission feels almost essential. Like if your workplace doesn't let you use these tools, use them anyways. Either you will now be way ahead of your coworkers and be seen as an evangelist at the company, or you'll get fired for it and you have an incredible story to tell in your job interviews for other places. I promise you, if you went to somebody like Raul and said, hey man, I just tried all the things in your post about how to like bring AI to the workplace. I got fired because nobody wanted to see the light. Can we talk about what working at Ramp would look like? I guarantee you that'll be a good conversation. Push the limits in every sense. That is really the theme I want to drive home here. Find the limits of how much you can use the tools, of what the tools are capable of, and what the people around you in your workplace is willing to allow. Push as hard against those limits as you can and see where it brings you. You'll be amazed, first off, at how far away those limits are, how capable these systems are, how well you can work around those limits, and how much shit you can get done as a result of all of this. And if your manager's not convinced, send them this section. Hey, you, manager at tech company X. It's so important to let your engineers use these things. The best engineers have already made the move to using AI tools to help with the majority of their work for the majority of the time. And if you're not letting your employees do this, you are intentionally letting them fall behind and they are going to leave and your company's going to fail. Standing against AI in the development world isn't some crazy noble stance or some way to protect your users. It's a way to piss off the best devs at your company and keep them from winning. If you want to win, you need to let your team use the best tools. And right now, most of those tools include AI. Get over your shit, let your employees use the things they want to, and you'll be amazed at how much more productive they become. I think I've said all I have to here. This was a very fun deep dive on how to stay ahead. I know what the top comments are all going to be. Hey, Theo, I'm a student. How do I keep up? I have no idea. I am thankful I'm not a student at this point in time. If I figure out an answer, I will be sure to do a video about that in the future. But for now, keep building, keep shipping, keep doing things, and keep pushing limits. And you'll probably end up somewhere great. That's all I got for this one. Good luck keeping up. And until next time, peace, nerds.